Back on Get Up, Caitlin Clark and the Fever visiting Asia Wilson and the Aces last night. This would be as lopsided as you could imagine, but in whose favor? Start of the first. Here's Caitlin Clark. Step back three. Gets up. Fever by 5. We're going to jump to the second quarter here. Watch Gray attacking Clark. Gray's going to pivot. She's going to get fouled on the play here. Now, Caitlin Clark's going down. She doesn't agree with the call. The officials are going to review this for a hostile act after the whistle. Call stands. Clark in denial, not happy. Well, fast forward a little bit, she'd be happier. Final seconds, first half, Fever up 8. Kelsey Mitchell looking to make a move from range. Bottom of the net. 20 points in the first half for Mitchell. Fever up 11 at the half. Under 2 minutes to play in the third. Sophie Cunningham, not just a UFC ring girl. Bang! 20 points, she knocked down 6 threes. Fever jump out to a 10-point lead. Fourth quarter now, here's Caitlin Clark up 18. Aaliyah Boston on the dish. Clark would finish with 12 points on 5 of 11 shooting. Fever win it 109-75. The Aces' 48-point win, tied for third largest in WNBA history. They only trail 2 Lynx wins, including one last season over the Aces, which kick-started a Las Vegas run that included 16 straight wins and an eventual championship. Let's go to the NBA. The basketball world waits with bated breath to learn where LeBron James will play in year 24. LeBron's agent, Rich Paul, was on NBA Today Friday and reassured people what LeBron is looking for in his next team. Take a listen to this.
I think when you have a player like him, he unlocks something on one of all 30 teams. No roster, no organization is guaranteed to win a championship, but you do want to be competitive. You do want to have an opportunity come late April and early May to compete at a high level and give yourself the best chance of winning. He's not chasing the ring. You hear these things like, why do we have to chase? He got 4. There's nothing to chase. He's not chasing the ghosts or anything like that.
Say good morning to Vince Goodwill and Tim MacMahon, who are up bright and early. Gentlemen, we appreciate the time. Vince, let's start with you. Your reaction to Rich Paul's comments.
There's nothing that I thought that he said that didn't make sense. When you're at the stage that LeBron is in, Joe and Tim, like nobody's opinion about LeBron is going to change if he goes, no matter where he goes, right? And I think there's a realism about his comments about how difficult it is to win an NBA championship. It's no different, honestly, than what Steve Kerr has said about coaching the Golden State Warriors when he called the Warriors a fading dynasty. You want to be able to play meaningful basketball in late April and early May. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that you're on a top 2 contender? Or does that mean you're on a team in the second round of the playoffs that has a reasonable chance of advancing to the conference finals? Last year, had Luka Doncic been healthy, had Austin Reeves been healthy, maybe that would have qualified for the Lakers, but clearly that relationship had soured. And if you add that criteria to it, there's a bunch of teams that would be a second round team with LeBron James. It's just a matter of, is that his specific criteria?
Like, when did chasing rings become a bad thing? I thought the whole point was to go out and win rings. So if he's chasing rings, I don't know why it's being phrased here, Tim, as something that's a negative. Do you have a problem with LeBron, quote, not chasing rings?
No, I don't. I understand why Rich Paul is making that distinction, because he doesn't want it to seem like LeBron is looking for the best bandwagon to hop on. And look, we haven't heard about him going to the Spurs. We haven't heard about him going to the Thunder. Those would be the easiest bandwagons to hop on, but he's looking at other teams. Where does he end up? That I don't know. We're all kind of in the dark, much like Vinny in his Vegas hotel room there. But I understand why Rich Paul is sensitive to perception. And when he says he's not chasing a ghost, we know what he means there. He's not chasing Jordan. This isn't about, let me make my final statement as far as I'm the greatest of all time. He's already got a case. That's a whole nother debate. But that's not what this decision is about.
No player in NBA history has ever won titles with 4 different teams. For LeBron to be able to pull something like that off, Vince, does that then create a situation where the GOAT debate finally ends in LeBron's favor?
The GOAT debate ended a long time ago. Let's be perfectly honest, y'all. Like, at least for me. Unfortunately, for some people, and maybe even for LeBron, he feels like he can still chase this ghost. And yes, Tim, I'm not just in the dark. I was born in it, molded in it. You merely adopted it. And I think for LeBron James, he's trying to adopt this argument to some degree that he's better than Michael Jordan by all these other different things and metrics, longevity and all that. For me, if we're going to talk about it, it's how great are you when you are at your best. And although he has a top 2 case, I think there's a lot of people who say Michael Jordan's best is better than LeBron's best, and there's nothing more that he can do that can change that argument. Can LeBron accept that is the question.
So let's move off the GOAT debate then and talk about the future for LeBron James. Tim, all things considered, Cleveland, is that the best option for LeBron to return home to, in your opinion?
That's my favorite option. It's up to him to decide what the best option is. But look, I would love to see a storybook ending, and whether he can deliver another championship to Cleveland or not, that's where he's from, Northeast Ohio. That's where he started. That's where he returned to deliver the title that they'd gone more than a half century without across all pro sports. So it just feels right that that's where this all would end. And look, the storyline, all that stuff, that does matter. The guy's had a documentary crew trailing him for years now. It's going to continue this season. So you do want a nice, sweet storyline to wrap this all up.
Speaking of wrapping up a sweet storyline, Vince, how is it possible that you are located in the center of the most well-lit city in the history of the world, and yet you find yourself in the dark?
Because the sun hasn't come up yet, Joe. It is, what time is it? 5-something in the morning here. Relax. My presence is a present. All right?
All right. Ease yourself into the day. We appreciate your time, gentlemen. Plenty more from these two later. Let's go to what's happening where Vince Goodwill's located. NBA Summer League, #1 overall pick, A.J. Debonsa, and Darius Acuff Jr., the #7 overall pick, squaring off. Debonsa's Wizards, Acuff's Kings. Early first, Wizards trail 3-0. Here comes Debonsa on the transition pass. He's going to show you a little bit of everything in this game. There's the pull-up 3, looking good early. Later in the quarter, Wizards down 5-3. A barn burner. Transition pass, bang. Fadeaway jumper, knocking it down. Later in the quarter, we're tied at 12. Watch this. Debonsa's 6'9", Acuff 6'2". How do you think this is going to play out for the shorter guy? Yeah, exactly as we all predicted. Acuff might want to put a move on there. Wizards are going to go up 14-12 on the transition play. Let's jump to the second. 38 seconds left. Wizards lead 52-39. Debonsa on the drive. Tough layup. Little bit of everything in these highlights. He's got the three-point range, the fadeaway from the mid-range. He's at the rim. Kid's looking good early. Third quarter, Wizards trailing by 13. Here's Acuff. That's a pretty move. He wants to get involved in the action. He'd finish with 12 points on 4 of 14 shooting. Fourth quarter now. Debonsa comes up with a loose ball. Sweet behind-the-back pass to Julian Reese. Debonsa would finish with 23 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 assists. The Wiz would go on to win by 19.